Hi guys, this is Reddy from Wealthy Options. Welcome to 27th episode of 0DTE Pulse. Today was Nifty expiry and this expiry went absolutely crazy. So Nifty today opened with a gap up of almost like a 60 points and that 60 points was sold into immediately in the first 10 minutes, and after that it was like a continuous up move. So this gap was filled quite quickly, and after that it's like absolutely a rally. Remember when yesterday Nifty moved almost close to the 1%, so this gave an impression like it is following the yesterday's kind of reversal, and it went to the crucial levels of 24,750. That means after filling the gap up, it went up by almost like 120-130 points straight. So by 10 o'clock it gave a complete up move, and during this time what happened is the straddle premium point of view, the premium opened at around 92 rupees at 916, so which is a low premium. So we started the day with a low premium, but there was a nice decay in the first half, though we had some challenges with the underlying moves, but from the decay point of view, especially after 10 o'clock and all, so the decay was quite well. So until there was a big mess up, which I'm going to talk later. So there was a support from the premium decay until probably until 2 p.m. So after that the things went wild. So let's go back to the underlying. So first 45 minutes was kind of a trending move. So during this kind of a dip, it first it took out some of the put SLs, and but all the big SLs, they were intact. So those put SLs were not hit. So the strategies with small put SLs in the first 10 minutes, so they suffered a loss, but the ones with quite big SLs and and the strategies which meant for capturing the theta decay, they stayed intact almost up to here. But as Nifty continued to go up, and then even the bigger stop losses also got hit. But as I said earlier, there was a support from the kind of a decay. So as a result of that, there was no big damage. So in fact, the trade was in a slight profit, I would say, somewhere by 0.1%. So up to here the story was okay, and then Nifty nicely consolidated for next 2 to 2.5 hours. So because of that, the put started decaying further, and some of the calls entered here also. They also started decaying. So nicely, premium the profit started accumulating by I would say at 12:30, and on by 12:30 I think during that time the profit almost went up to close to 0.3 to 0.35%. So this was a good period where the profit slowly started going up, and then here in this candle Nifty gave an impression of it tried to break the day high, but it turned out like a fake out. So this is where all the challenges started. So what happened is during this move some of the calls which are entered here, so most of the calls they have not most, I think it's all the calls, they suffered the SL, and then there was a big reversal. So up to here the story was okay, because it's again the puts were not rising. So though there was no support from the calls, because there was no support from the calls, because there were no calls in the system, because here most of the stop losses were taken away. So then you have, when I looked at the system, the number of open positions, they were all puts only, except couple of calls, a couple of calls and puts which entered after 12:30. Otherwise, when I looked at the system, it's all puts. It was a very high risky, and I particularly had number of 24,700 puts, which in case if Nifty reverses and breaks this kind of a intraday swing low, then they will all go into the trouble. So what I did is I left the system untouched, but I went for I covered this in a couple of last 0DT videos also. So what I did is I looked at how to protect some of these puts. Obviously I didn't want to protect all of them, but at least in case if there is going to be a big move on the downside, is there any way we can able to save to some extent? So when I looked, when I thought about that, I thought about multiple options like back spread and also a put debit spread. So so when I considered the put debit spread, so 700 I initiated a trade like buying the 700 put option, and when I mean this is something I've done it when Nifty was here. Okay, so buying the Nifty 24,700 put around I think 10 rupees, and then selling the 650 put for around 5 rupees. It was like a 5 rupees debit. It's a 50-point spread, so you lose the 5 rupees maximum, but if you get a big move, so you can make maximum profit of 45, so which looked decent. So then I quickly deployed that, but I mean I have not done with full quantity. Now I wish I should have done with the full quantity. So what I mean by that, I mean so for every 4 short puts available in the system, so I have done one additional this particular trade. So it was like 1:4 kind of. So I mean obviously I was not sure that so Nifty is going to fall so much from the day high. So that particular trade kind of helped a little bit. I wouldn't say much, very little bit. So by the way, coming back to the actual trades, so from here Nifty started reversing. So this after Nifty failing to break out upside, and it started falling big, especially when it broke the swing low. So things were not okay. Put started spiking. So these particular candle, they took out good number of put SLs, and then it tried to consolidate, and by this time the still the overall the system was in a decent profit of probably 0.1%. So it was in a 0.35%. It gave up most of the profits, but then the real trouble started from this particular big candle. Okay, so from here onwards Nifty clearly gave it up, and it broke. It not only tested the day's low, but it also went below that. Quite below that actually. So after breaking the the day's low, it went down by another 100 points. But if you see from top to the bottom, Nifty fell by almost like a 230 points. So it went up to 130 points, and then it fell almost like a 230 points. All these moves for the premium of what? It's a premium of 92 rupees in the morning. So this is the real challenge. We are offered with the straddle premium of just about 90 rupees, and the move is total swing is almost like a 400 plus points move. So which is not easy, and especially when you have these kind of a big reversals where the morning sessions takes out all the call SLs, and afternoon where it takes out all the put SLs. It's a real difficulty. And so the additional debit spread, whatever I initiated, so I have covered that. When around here, when the day low was hit, thinking that if it reverses, it may lose all the potential gains. So but out of that, maximum 45 points spread, I think I made almost like a close to 35 points, maybe 32 points or something. So which is something I am okay, which translated to somewhere like I think around maybe so somewhere close to 1800 to 2000 rupees profit on probably one lot. I think somewhere around that. So but because I did it with a small quantity, so it was not enough cushion to cover the losses, right? But that strategy, so which I entered with a very low risk of just 5 points, so it worked. So as a strategy, so. And during this particular move, the put started going up crazy, because it's a continuous fall. It at some point of time it gave an impression like as if like there is some event is happening, and because there was no reason why Nifty had to fall so much, right? So during this time you can see the straddle premium. So it was almost a straddle premium at some point it cooled off to like a 45 rupees. From 45 it went to like 70, so which is almost like 25 rupees 25 rupees points raise from the base of 45, which is almost like a more than 50% raise in the straddle premium itself. As because of this, so my profits, all the profits are gone. So not only that, from plus 0.35, my loss came to minus 0.2 or 0.25. So by this time. And so then so during this here, it was kind of trying to recover, so trying to recover some losses, because the premium was pretty good actually. So here premium was very good, and some of the entries my system has after 2 o'clock they started taking the entries, and because of the good premium, and premium started falling from here onwards quite aggressively after that spike. So those strategies which entered after 2 o'clock, they started making some profit, but what happened is again there was a dip which took took out some of the put stop losses, and there is an immediate reversal. So especially this particular candle, around 245. So what happened is, most of the calls I had, so it thrown out those short call positions, because of the spike which happened here, right? So and during this fall, so morning all the call stop losses gone, and whatever the put stop losses puts were there in the system, so they were all suffered. Either normal stop loss or mostly the trailing stop loss and stop losses. So here calls suffered first, and then here all the puts are gone, and here the calls started making some money, but most of the puts have gone, and when this reversal happened again, most of the calls suffered, but there were some few calls left out in the system, and some puts were left out in the system, which kind of started making some money, especially after 245. So I think around 245 my loss was almost like a minus 0.2 percentage. I'll show you the figures and also the MTM graph, and then this particular consolidation helped to an extent by to close somewhere with close to the break even, so very tiny loss. So let's look into the intraday P&L chart now. So this is how the day started. As I mentioned, the first 45 minutes and also up to 12:30, it was a nice consolidation, directional move, and then followed by consolidation. So this started making the money, and then so the trouble started from the afternoon sessions when Nifty started falling. So this is when the profit came down from plus 0.3 percentage almost to the loss of here by loss. It came into the loss, and then some relaxation because of the high premium. So some consolidation. It again the profits came back to 0.2 percentage. Again, so another reversal on the call side as explained earlier. So it took the P&L to the day low of almost like a 0.2 percentage, and final I would say probably 40 points, 40 minutes of the day, it recovered the losses to close slightly below the break even. So MTM was literally dancing. It went up and it came down, and again it came into the profit, again it went to the loss, and again it closed to somewhere close to the break even. So in terms of the accounts, this particular account ended with a loss of just 3,500, and this particular account with the 2,300 loss, and the other account it ended with the 4,000. So put together it's a overall loss of 10,000 rupees, which is a very very quite tiny profit, tiny loss on my account size, so which is minus 0.02 percentage. So this is the first expiry in the September month, and it started with a very tiny stop loss. So but I'm happy that I survived such a crazy day, where you can see that for a very small premium, it's a very wild move in the both underlying and also the crazy spike in the straddle premium, right? So it's a day of survival. So and I hope whatever the content, especially the ideas that I shared around how you can able to initiate some additional trades. Though you are a system trader, when you see that there is a lot of skew in your open positions, and if you think that there is a risk, and if you can able to cover some of the risks or most of the risk by initiating by taking some small risk trades, right? So in today's trade, the risk was only 5 rupees actually. If Nifty had not fallen, I would have lost only the 5 rupees premium. Okay, so but if I had taken a full position instead of 1:4, probably it would have covered it would have covered I think most of the losses, if not all. At least most of the loss from the open position puts, not from the 1/7 which I initiated later. So these are some of the even the system traders, algo traders. So when you have a big skew on the open positions, either on the put side or call side, accordingly you can try and deploy these strategies. Sometimes market won't give the time, but sometimes if it gives, which is fine. So I hope these kind of ideas may be helpful for you, whether you are a discretionary trader or algo trader. And overall, I think if you like this content, give it a thumbs up, guys, and start sharing with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel. So that's all pretty much I wanted to cover. So I'll see you in my next video with Sensex expiry, which is on Thursday. So until then, take care. Bye.